So, HIKOB is a French-based company which has been created two years ago. We provide wireless sensor networks, technologies and systems. And in the field of ITS and smart cities, we already provide customers such as equipment manufacturers, road operators like APR, which is a motorway operator in France, and also cities like the Grand Lyon. So, how wireless sensor networks can help to solve city operations and urban infrastructure challenges. Last winter crisis has shown in France the importance of smooth road operations to allow the flow of goods and people within the city. I will illustrate that with a project which has been recently deployed by the Grand Lyon City Authority. It is composed of 9 local areas spread across the Grand Lyon to measure and to combine road surface temperature with traffic volume and car detections. So in our vision, this kind of project are allowed through smart sensors, which are small sensors with a lifetime duration, a long lifetime duration. In that case, we talk about 10 years duration of the sensor, and also very easy to install component and sensors. It takes less than 10 minutes to install such sensors in the road pavements. So then we have a local 2.4 gigahertz wireless data collection infrastructure, which is composed of routers that relay the information from the sensors to a gateway that makes the links with an IP networks. In our vision, a key success factor for such deployment is to reuse the existing equipment within the cities that are already connected with IP connectivity. In that case, we use the traffic light controllers to gather and collect the data and then feed a cloud infrastructures that allow the road operators to access to live data anywhere, anytime, like road surface temperature, dew point, frost point, traffic volumes, etc. So, capturing the reality has shown real benefit for the city of Lyon. If you have in mind that the daily budget for road winter service for the road network of Lyon represents 400,000 euros, the ability to anticipate very localized phenomena like snowy and icy conditions on the road is something very crucial. It's also a new means to complete the existing decision-making process. For example, road weather bulletin coming from the weather agencies. And the last point is also the benefits are gathered through the optimization of agents and patrollers' intervention on the field. Thank you for your time. If you have any question, I think it's at the time of the session.
So thank you very much. And now we will have Thorsten Schäfer, CEO of Azeti Networks AG.
very much for coming and attending this session. Azeti is a manufacturer and distributor of M2M gateways for any purpose. We typically monitor and manage broadcasting tower stations like mobile phone tower stations, but we showed on several pilots and also fairs that we can use our gateway we produced also for projects like parking, observing other environmental technologies. It's all about reducing carbon footprint, so even if we monitor mobile phone tower stations, we reduce significantly the fuel usage, truck rolls and all this stuff. So at the end of the day is a dramatic reduction of CO2 consumption for maintaining these towers, which are 8 million towers around the world. The same occurs if you have a solution, something like this parking. So a car is parked around 23 hours a day, 500 cars per 1,000 citizens in Germany, and more than 40% of the downtown traffic is looking for a parking spot. 40% of all the downtown traffic is looking for a parking spot. The average consumption of CO2 in that time is 2.5 kilograms just to find a parking spot by cruising around. 1.1 million on-street parking spaces in Germany as an example. Just Westminster, London has 30,000 spaces for parking. We did a pilot together with Vodafone, showed on CeBIT, reducing the cruising time, reducing the city traffic, CO2 and gasoline consumption, enhance customer experience, prevent illegal parking, and prevent overtime parking. So we want to prevent also the people have to go in the rain to take the tickets, they can pay online, they pay in the car, they can get deduction of the traffic, of the parking fee by the next store, and terms like this. How does it, I mean, it's working simply, is a sensor, is a gateway, is an application, is a cloud base. We also partner here with some other companies around this solution. And the most important part, and I have 1 minute 55 seconds left, is that it's integrated. All these solutions has to be integrated. So you need partners to integrate this solution because it's not only about finding the parking spot. Nobody wants to find a parking spot on his cell phone around the corner on the street and then has to go in the rain to the next ticket machine and get the ticket, go in the rain, back again in the car. Why don't you pay online? The next thing happen is you want to have reimbursed your parking fee. So if you park on the street and you go to the next shop or you go to the next restaurant, you want to have your parking fee back from that shop or restaurant because you bring in business to them. So they have to be connected. You want to know, is there an alternative? So you are at home and you already look at the traffic parking situation in your town. And these applications today will tell you, does it make sense to go by car? Maybe you take better the train before going downtown because 98% of all public parking places are already gone. So you will not intend to go downtown with your car. So all this has to be integrated. The police has to have the ability to block whole roads of parking because of a festival maybe. In the future, you want to make reservation for parkings in front of your cinema. So you book half a day before, you book a specific parking spot downtown in front of your cinema to go to that cinema in that evening. You want to have a guidance if all public streets are full to the next parking possibility in a parking house in some of these applications. So it's a full integration from the sensor which measures your car to the application you have where you can identify a free parking spot anywhere in your city in the future. Any city in the world will have this. We have inquiries like 10 cities per month who want to have such a solution. So it's a very big trend at the moment to have this. My time is over. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. So we're going to have now Asdrúbal Pichardo, Managing Director of Streetline. Okay.
So thank you for being here. I'm going to talk a bit about why parking is probably the best application to start with when a city is thinking about doing smart city projects. And what I'm going to tell, I mean, Thorsten already touched base on some of the topics I wanted to discuss. So I think I'm going to be able to do it in 4 minutes. Thorsten already mentioned parking is really a headache. It doesn't matter if the city is big or is small. You said 40%. I mean, with 30% is a global number. Probably 40% of people looking for parking in downtown is what is more realistic for downtown. But in average, like 30 or 20%. There's an interesting another one in Paris, for example. They say the average Parisian citizens in Paris spend 3 years of his or her life looking for parking. So imagine the implication of that. And obviously, it's a problem for the cities because if you take into consideration the 30%, it's unnecessary congestion, pollution. The solution is not to build more parking spaces, but is to manage the resources more efficiently. For drivers, for all of us, it's very frustrating experience. And we should not forget about the merchants, the local commerce. I mean, they're interested that people park very quickly in order to get into their premises to buy something. So they're also, they benefit from any smart parking solution. In reality, it's less about the technology and the hardware. I mean, the technology works, it's available. You have the infrastructure, you have the sensors, you have the gateways, and then you have applications on the cloud, and you have mobile applications. So we offer an end-to-end solution that is offering guidance by an app to the motorists. We also have information for the merchants, so they can also include in the website real-time the parking availability. We have a lot of analytics and reporting for the city to make better policy, better decisions. And of course, workforce productivity for the city to manage not only the parking payments, but also the resources. We have done, obviously, a lot of testing. So we have more than 40 installations worldwide. So we have been testing this. So this shows what is finding for parking without our app and with our app. So you can see the unnecessary driving that the person did. And we also done a lot of testing, so these are numbers we did recently, very recently, in terms of the reduction of time when you use the smart parking, the reduction of miles driven, and very important in terms of the impact to environments. I mean, if 110,000 people use a Parker app 3 times a week, so not every day, you can see here the implication in terms of hours and the less generation of CO2 emissions. This obviously in pounds. This came from the US. But it's a huge number. And the good thing about this is that this is not science fiction. This is reality. I mean, we have more than 40 customers already. Even here in Europe, we have deployments in UK, in Birmingham, in Manchester, in London. 2 weeks ago, we just installed together with one of our partners here in Barcelona. We are in France, we are in Germany, and here are just some of our biggest customers. The city of Los Angeles, we have deployed more than 10,000 sensors for parking. So it's our biggest customer. But also in New York, they are doing analytics, they are doing mobile payments, guidance. Fort Lauderdale, Birmingham is one of the first one here in Europe. So it's a reality. You mentioned also a very nice example for commuters. So the Washington Metro system is also using this technology to guide people so they don't need to drive into downtown. If they see there's parking available in a train station, they can park their car. So the city influences the behavior of the people if they want to avoid. Also, a city like Los Angeles, they are doing demand-based pricing, so playing with different pricing depending on demand. And it's not changing the pricing every hour, but maybe every week, every month, depending on the demand, depending on the data, the real-time data. And of course, smart parking is one of many applications. If you deploy an infrastructure for smart cities, you also have the required infrastructure to do other type of things like measuring temperature, measuring the air quality, measuring noise. So there's many opportunities out there. Thank you.
Very good, thank you very much. So we are going to have now Albert Malagarriga, founder of Parking Site.
See? It'll work. Is it working? See? Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Le dar esto, ¿no? Vale. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Albert Malagarriga, co-founder at Parked Inside. And sorry, this is in Spanish. I'll keep it in English. Hope you can follow. Well, we're basically here because parking is expensive. Another one on parking. Excuse us, I guess. But basically, the reason why we think it's expensive is because it's all a question of information. Nobody knows where exactly there's a parking. There's some parkings that are more expensive than others, and there's some which are empty, which are cheaper for that reason. So we set ourselves to solve that. And well, there's obviously a very big economic opportunity behind this. So just to give you some data that I think that wasn't brought out before, just to give you an example, a city like Barcelona, the market value for parkings is about 200 million euro. In Spain, it's about 800. We calculate it's about 18 billion in Europe. And the thing is, and this is an example for the city of Barcelona, basically up there to the right is the parkings, the surface parkings in which we park. And over here is the parkings, the underground parkings in which we usually park. But the fact is that there's a bunch of more other parking spaces available. Not only that, but the parking spaces which are available right now today, underground, are not totally occupied. So that's where we put our focus. And that's where we believe we can have an impact and we believe we can have a change happening. And this actually happens in many other cities all over the world. So what do? We build a mobile application. With this mobile application, people can find the parking, they can manage their payments, and they can actually interact with the equipment that's already installed in the parking. So we believe we don't have to install any other equipment if parkings already have some. So how do we do it? Well, technically, we do a series of different integrations with other manufacturers that work in garages which are already installed. We work with parkings which have no equipment, or in certain cases, we install our own equipment, which we have built and developed ourselves. So I think I was really fast, but in any case, what we are exactly trying to do, and I hope there's nobody from Hello Taxi or any other of these, what we're trying to do is we're trying to put all the service of a parking lot inside your telephone. In this sense, exactly what My Taxi or Hello Taxi or other services like this are trying to do in other industries. And as it has been mentioned before, we believe that once we're there, there's a bunch of other opportunities of generating impact. For example, it makes a lot of sense to think that in the future, the gas stations will be the garages themselves if everybody is driving an electric car. This was just an example of integration with other services such as Waze, which we all know now is Google. But we would be ready to integrate with any other service in order to manage mobility. And obviously, giving services to other local commercial areas in such a way that they would have more people and they would pay for their parking, just as it has been mentioned before. Thank you very much, and if anyone wants to talk, I'm available.
So thank you very much. And now we're going to have Xavier Martí, CEO of IGS Research.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm Xavier Martí on behalf of all our 30 employees on IGS Research. I am probably today the most engineer guy on this panel. We have been working for over 14 years, giving solutions to all kinds of problems, since, for example, chemical industries, to very precise measurement of how the tectonic plates move in San Andreas Fault. Accuracy of 1 micron. I wake up this morning checking out how the Earth has moved. We are also, I will go to sleep today thinking about how we prepare memories which are suitable for airplanes. And in the middle, at the Earth level, we have also been working on how to help smart city companies on having better sensors. So my target is only and only, absolutely only, other companies in the smart city sector that are interested in customization of their sensors. And I'll give you today just one short success story. We were fabricating here, not far from here, barely 1 hour. We were fabricating Wi-Fi sensors, like this one. Wi-Fi sensors that work very well, and I'm very satisfied. But then we ask to ourselves, does it make sense to place 10,000 batteries? So surely we will save tons of CO2, I agree. Where are we going to put 10,000 batteries? Are we ready for managing 10,000 batteries? I don't know. Probably nobody knows because this market has started just in the recent years, so nobody knows what will happen with all these batteries when they expire. So one of our customers, actually Smart City company, asked ourselves to say, can you make an alternative to that? And that's our take. For many applications, we can stay to the old technology of a hardwired solution. Think about how many times you change a battery in your life, and how many times you change the wiring of your houses. Clearly, the wire is an old technology. So what we did is to place the very same sensor technology that our customers request onto a wire, one after the other. Hundreds and thousands of these sensors in a wire that you can put, for example, in outer streets on the angle of the curve. And we have plenty of strategies to camouflage it. Nobody will steal it. The advantage is I removed, for example, in a street, I removed 10 batteries, 10 antennas. At the end of my sensor, I have a plug to any type of 220 volts, 380, wherever. It's just a matter of reducing the costs. It's dramatically cheaper, this solution against this solution. Despite in some moments, I agree, we cannot escape using this solution. So what I wanted to bring here, and I just have 1 minute, is as a company that works in many different options for smart city, we measure speeds, we tell you the traffic flow and permitting. I want to emphasize that think about, in some installations, hardwiring. For indoor parking, for example, put it on the roof. It's as easy as deploying a wire. How long it would take me to cut these 2 plastic holes and expand it, connect this to the Ethernet, and send this to the internet. It's the same technology as before. We did it on purpose. On behalf of IGS crew, our 30 employees, thank you for your attention. And we would be happy to get your requests for smart city solutions, chemical companies, or wherever. You have your waterproof and destructible wires ready. You can take a demo today. Thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you very much. Now, we're going to have Louis-Alban Batard, Spanish director of Connecthings.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming to this session. So my name is Louis-Alban. You did it with a very nice accent. I'm head of Spain for Connecthings, which is a contactless mobile expert. And I want to talk to you about smart cities. Well, we're all here for that, no? So how to make the city smarter without radically changing the infrastructures. Means you're in a bus stop and you want to get access to the real-time schedules. How do you do? Do you change the bus stop? Do you add information panels? Or either a smarter, cheaper, more intelligent way to do it? Yes, there is. People are changing the way they interact and move around the cities. People use mobile phone everywhere. I mean, everybody here, I'm sure, has a smartphone and data. And one of the most important use is on the go, using your smartphone to get access to information. So how do you easily make the city more mobile and deliver the right information at the right time? The near-field communication is a great new technology that enables to connect the physical and the virtual world from a street furniture to a smartphone. So you can get access to real-time and multimodal information, context-based information, coupons. It's a powerful and intuitive use of technologies. Is there something more simple than touch with your mobile phone a bus stop to get access to your schedule, to your, yes, and without downloading any applications, to be totally independent from operating system. You don't need to develop an iOS and an Android or whatever. So Connecthings, for you to get an idea, we are a European leader in, when it comes to NFC tag management, working with 19 cities in Europe and Brazil. Our most important projects are in France. We're working with 8 out of 10 most important cities, Paris, Strasbourg, or Nice, which is one of the first cities to implement NFC. And in Spain, with Malaga, Madrid, and Barcelona. I invite you to come to Barcelona contactless presentation this afternoon. It's going to be incredible at 5 p.m. So today I wanted to talk to you about Strasbourg, a project, a mobile application project called StrasPlus, that show you a little bit how we work with smart stickers. Well, it's really easy. You put a smart sticker in the bus stop, and in one touch, people can get access to real-time schedule. How many people were frustrated to wait at the bus stop without knowing when the bus was coming? And with our technology, we're able to connect different databases. So when you're at the bus stop, you can access to availabilities of bike sharing stations around in real time. You can get access to touristic information, audio guides, interactive information, etc., to make the city much more convenient, much more intuitive. So in StrasPlus, the project called the city within one simple gesture, and it's what it is. We put over 2,000 smart tags around the city, in bus shelters, in mailboxes, in public places, bike sharing station, and each of those tags are bringing a unique, dynamic information thanks to our innovative management and content platform called AdTag. And it was such a success to give you an idea about transport at bus stops. The call of the web services, which helps you to get the real-time schedule. Our service was more used than the website, than the own application of the transport companies. And they asked us to go a bit more further. So we equipped touristic places to get access to information about tourism, but to also connect with transport information, so you know how to move around the city. So to make the city street furniture smarter, thanks to contactless technology. Thank you very much, and we're waiting you at 5 p.m. at the Barcelona contactless presentation. Bye-bye.
So thank you very much. So now we're going to have Jaciel Reyes, Director of Product Design at Campmar Information Systems.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. Is it working okay? Let me wait. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Oh, vale. Okay. No, that's it. Yeah. Okay, so good morning and thank you for coming. I'm gonna go very briefly over what we do, our company, and then I'll explain very quickly one of our most recent projects. So we are a company with more than 40 years in experience in public signage, and especially in transportation signage. We've been doing bus stops for like 40 years, even the poles, the shelter bus stops, the usual ones. And for the past 10 years, we've been developing a series of technologies and solutions to present dynamic information on the street in an autonomous way, working almost exclusively with solar energy. And for this, we have developed a series of products. So we are currently, our main presence is here in Spain, in Barcelona, and Madrid, Valencia, and a whole bunch of other cities. But we're also expanding into the United States recently. We just, a couple of weeks ago, we installed our first 2 units, pilot units in New York, and also in Israel, and Chile, and in France. So what do we do? First, we have a system that we call Capmar Cloud. This is an information management system. And we use it to collect a bunch of information from several different sources, like all the orange and yellow ones. And then we organize it and send it to our information points, be it bus stops, it can be billboards, all kind of information points. So, and the information points that we have are usually, we have a series of products like usual shelter bus stops, then we have some poles, and a whole lot of other display technologies that sometimes we can make it work with solar energy, and some others like a TFT we can't, but our main focus is in the solar energy solutions. Our system controls these bus stops. Here we have this series of projects, like special projects that we've done in Madrid. I think the one in Madrid we did it with Connecthings. I think you put your NFC tag there, yeah. So yeah, we also develop projects and by demand by the customer. And our system controls all of this, and not only sends the information, but also tell us the exact the operation conditions of the information points are at every moment. So we know if the battery is correctly charged, we know if the solar panel is operating correctly, if the display is showing the right information. And the way we are applying this now, and this is the new project that I want to talk about very, very quickly, is a transport on demand system. So we have three parts on our system. We have the Capmar Cloud that controls everything, and then we put a small tablet on a bus, and then we have a bus stop with a push button. And what we do is we go to a town where there is a low demand zone. It can be a city, it can be a town, whatever. And then we install our bus stop there, and we install the tablet on the bus. And with that, we can create a smart route that changes depending on the demand. Like people go to the bus stop and press the button, then we send a signal to the bus driver. He gets that somebody needs to be picked up in this area, and he confirms. Then the bus stop says how much time it's going to take for the bus to get there. And the bus knows that they have a detour zone where they go to make the pickup. After that, what we want to do with this system is just integrate it in a way that we can have like a dynamic public transportation grid in which we don't need to push a button. The bus stop knows where people is at all times by sensing them. And we can have a transport that changes according to the demand at any specific time. And after that, we're gonna integrate a series of other sensors and functions into the bus stop to do things, for example, like collect the data from the parking lots and all these kind of things. Okay, thank you very much. That's it.
Okay, so thanks a lot. So now we're going to have Juan Luis Sampedro, CEO of Skybus.
Thank you. I didn't know you were from Connecthings until you. Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so hello everybody.
Yep.
Hello everybody. Thanks for coming. I have a question for smart cities, which is, are your buses smart? That depends on what is being smart in terms of buses. This means, for example, whether your buses are optimally used even in valley hours, or do they often go or run empty? Do they serve all of the citizens, or are there some areas in your city that are not served by buses? Do your buses really offer an alternative to your commuters, or are they forced to use their cars in some way? Do buses act in conjunction, in cooperation with other means of transport like tubes or trains, or do they overlap in a not very sensible manner? Do your buses address the diversity of mobility needs of your segments of population? All of this is being smart in terms of buses. And Skybus is the way to make buses smarter. Skybus is an optimization service that is used for optimizing costs, doing trips faster, and develop new services profitably, replacing cars with on-demand buses, which are intelligent and go wherever customers want to go. So the starting situation is that we have passengers and transport operators. To begin with, Skybus changes this by turning passengers into customers that interact with operators through the web, through the mobile phones, through the call centers, and ask where they want to go at the time they want to go. And Skybus is an optimization service on top of a technology platform that allows trip booking and dispatching in real time, optimizing routes dynamically, providing automated online customer care, providing cash management and payment management. That's on the side of the customer. And then on the side of the operator, it allows operations management, QS management, business intelligence, service planning, and continuous improvement of all of the bus's operations. So going back to the first questions, what can we do in the case of buses running empty most of the time? Well, what we can do is turning, instead of having blind fixed lines that go wherever it's designed, even there's nobody waiting for them, we turn that route into basic itinerary with also some on-demand stops, so we can optimize the transit of the buses. With this, we can reduce the mileage, we can reduce the route time, and we can reduce the fleet for a specific demand. That's a way to be smart. Another way is going to the question of, do your buses reach all your citizens? Well, what we can do is using this on-demand and this intelligence to reach all of these quarters around the city centers, which are sparse, which are not so reachable, and we can provide with the same fleet a better coverage, a faster service, a smaller fleet. The other question, does your buses provide a reasonable alternative to your commuters? Well, what we are doing, for example, in this area in Madrid, is we are providing an alternative to cars by connecting, intelligently connecting the business park with the main transport hubs in Madrid, and also with residential suburbs where most of the people really live. Another example is, as I was saying before, how to connect a train station, for example, with the surrounding area. Bus is the only way we can do this profitably. So in this case, in Alcobendas, what we are doing is connecting a business park with the commuter train station, with an open shared scheme for companies to share these buses to provide the connection to the train station. And finally, this is another example of how we can use Skybus to, on the left side, optimizing the cost in a city like Hospitalet for special needs, people who need to go to day centers and so on. And on the other side, serving an area, a high-end income area in the north of Madrid, in Alcobendas, also to connect this residential area with leisure and shopping centers in the town. So that's we are already helping a number of cities in the world to make their buses smarter. So we'll be glad to speak with you if you are interested. Thank you.
So thank you very much. So we're going to have now Katrin Saternus, spokesperson at Corporate Communication at Daimler Mobility Services GmbH.
Thank you for having and talking. Some of the topics have already been discussed before, like parking. I think you heard that a few times. So I rather want to take you a step back and tell you about our revolution of mobility. Our parent company, Daimler, already succeeded in revolutionizing individual mobility with inventing the car and actually just launching the new S-Class a few months ago. We, with our car sharing scheme, Car2Go, had another revolution of individual mobility, of having the first free-floating car sharing system in the world available. Today, however, I want to talk about Movil that will revolutionize and simplify mobility within the urban setting. Movil grants you instant access to the entire mobility cosmos because it really shows you different providers of mobility on one click. On the left-hand side, you see, I want to get from A to B, and you select the timing and from where you want to go. And then on the next next picture, you see that you can either take a Car2Go in cities where we are present, take the public transport, which is a key element here, or use another way to get from A to B, like carpooling, which you will hear more about later on. And of course, there's always the option to go by foot. We are currently present in 5 metropolitan areas in Germany. We are in the pilot phase, but we will go and roll out on a European and national level soon. So what does that mean for the future? I think it's really key to have true intermodal routing, which means that you have different options combined to get from A to B. It's not only the bus, it's not only the car. It is taking the bus first and maybe for the last mile take a Car2Go, or if you have other options, take a long distance bus to get from A to B. Of course, it will all be smartphone-based rental in the future because the smartphone really is access to a whole new mobility cosmos, and Movil will be the key and your entry into that world. We are currently integrating Movil with different partners. For Germany, we have integrated 5 public transport partners in the cities of Berlin, Munich, Stuttgart, the Rhine-Ruhr area near Düsseldorf, and latest Munich is present. But it's also about other mobility providers like Nextbike, who actually have a car sharing scheme, like carpooling, and of course Car2Go, where it's present. So it's really key to integrate the entire mobility world into that platform and have access there. So this is really what we are striving for, to have a true intermodal routing, connect different modes of transportation and be the one mobility platform. Here it's really key that we are not focusing on one kind of mobility means, but really be open and see what is in the city present and use existing resources. It's really key not to bring more and more partners into the city, but really leverage existing partners and use those within the mobility platform Movil. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. We're going to have the last talk of this session with Markus Barnikel, CEO of Managing Director of Carpooling.com GmbH.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. I know there's a little bit of noise coming off the side. Can you hear me now? Is that okay? So I know I'm in between you and your lunch, and I think everybody's getting hungry. So we're carpooling, and we're the largest ride-sharing community in Europe. We're moving a little bit over 1 million people from city to city. But before I get there, I want to talk about one very strong topic that we're addressing, which is the fill factor. Now, when you think about your trip here today, you probably looked in the car to the left and the right. There's just one person in the car. Maybe there's 2, but usually there's 3 or 4 empty seats. Now, that's something that has to change, because the higher the fill factor is, the better is the party sometimes. And actually, the more density you have in cities, that also creates innovation and new things that solve those issues. Now, when you look at the airline industry, you've seen a lot of yield management happening. Airlines today fly at a capacity of 80-90%. So 80-90% of the seats are filled. Now, if you take North America, 90% of all mid to long distance travel between cities happens in cars. Now, these cars are empty. There's 3 to 4 empty seats. That needs to change, and that's the fill factor that we're addressing. So when you look at a car, 90% of the time it's standing around, filling the streets. And when it's moved, there's a 90% chance that there's just one person in the car. 1.2 is the European average. So that means there's a fill factor of less than 3%. that needs to be addressed, and this is something our company has started to do. Surface parking lots cover over 500 million cars, North America only. That's about 1.5 times the size of the metropolitan area of Barcelona. Just parking slots, you know, empty or filled, but they're, you know, waste of land. And of course, resources. 1/3 of greenhouse emissions are caused by transportation, and cars are one of the #1 causes of that. Now, about 16 million hours are spent in traffic jams every day, and that's US only. So something we need to change in order to make cities more livable. So what are we doing? We're actually giving access to those assets that were previously not accessible. We're giving access to empty seats in cars. We've been doing this for the past couple of years. We are moving a little over 1 million people each month across Europe on the platform. We've moved over 50 million people since we started. We have 5 million active users on our platform every month, and we're expanding. You know, we're expanding because people are taking an opportunity to ride in other people's car. Sharing is something that's been addressed through mobile phones to get access, and you can actually figure out who you're going with, which is a very important topic. I have 1 minute left. So our vision is to get the world to share the ride, change the fill factor, give access, address trust, because you want to know who you're going with, and make cars a very, you know, affordable and also economical vehicle. I've brought to you an animation that shows the movements that we have in Europe. So Google did that for us, and it shows over a week. You see morning times and evening times. This is people ride sharing with our platform across Europe, and you see there's, you know, high traffic times in the morning, high traffic times in the evenings. You know, we're now a Tuesday, and you can see that people are moving across Europe. We don't require new infrastructure. We're making use of existing infrastructure by sharing, by giving access to an asset that is heavily underutilized, by changing the fill factor. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much. So now it's time for Q&A. So I will ask like the speakers to stand up. So we are gonna do the following. If there's questions that are like addressed to more than one speaker, then we are gonna do them like in any session. If there's no such questions, then we will let the speakers be here, and since it's an elevator pitch session, we will let like you access them directly. Okay? So can you like all stand up again? And first, again, an applause for them. Okay, so is there any question related to mobility, sensors, M2M, parking, carpooling that you want to address to the speakers? Okay, so do we have a micro? Yes, micro is coming.
Hello, hello. This is a question that I guess is to all of the speakers. What element of service design and user feedback have you had in terms of your products? There seems to be an understanding that everybody wants to drive a car at all times and park really efficiently. Have you got any feedback from actual users on how the benefits of your services have been to them?
Okay, so I think we didn't understand the question quite well. Like, can you like speak a bit louder?
Just have you got some stories from people who've used your stuff that are really good?
Yes, we have a lot of stories. I mean, sharing something with someone is a very high involvement event. So we have over 18 marriages that happened, people meeting each other. But more importantly, on the day-to-day, you know, you have people that are, you know, coming back to us. They're sharing stories about what they have experienced. We have a lot of, for example, businessmen that live outside of the metropolitan areas because they can't afford to live within the metropolitan areas. And by sharing their ride to get some jobs done, handyman, for example, you know, they're making this a living by taking 1 or 2 people in their car. That cuts down their
cost of transportation. They can take a job and then they go back, and live outside the metropolitan area, which is more affordable for them, for example. So we have a lot of those people commuting in our platform.
We also have great stories for Movil customers who would have never used public transport before, and they are true car-to-go customers, but there are times where they go out and have a drink at the bar and there's no issue about driving back home. So for them, actually, public transport became an option, and I think that's exactly what we try to push with Movil, to have people show the different resources that are out there and maybe use one they haven't used before or have been rather reluctant to use.
Hi. Speaking about the Skybus, we have a very good response from people who's been using it in Malaga. They became regular users, everyday users for commuting, from going from suburban quarters to the business park in Malaga. And I can also mention that we ran a survey recently. Surveying is one of the first things we do when we roll out the Skybus system. We run a survey in Ribera Loira, in a business park in Madrid. We collected nearly 15% of the park in 15 days, and the survey showed that nearly 50% of the people in the business park was interested in such a on-demand transport for connecting, especially for connecting to main transport hubs, which means basically that people is willing to use public transport, but not to make 2 or 3 transfers. They just want to make 1 transfer, and they are willing to pay for this. So that's a key finding.
From our side, we mostly work with public transportation. So, no, yeah. So in public transportation, people complain a lot, and they complain to the city hall, they complain to the bus companies, they complain to the transportation companies. So we have a lot of feedback, and it has not only helped us improve our product, but also it has forced the whole system to work better. Like before we started installing this kind of bus stops with like dynamic information displays, the fleet management systems were not very accurate in many places. And after we started installing these things and people went to the bus stop and they saw that the arrival time wasn't right, then that forced the companies that do the fleet management system to actually improve their software. So it helps a lot. And when you do this kind of high when you have this high number of units installed in urban areas, then you get a lot of feedback.
They say. So we also have from Streetline a lot of nice stories from users, because I mean parking is a problem that everyone has, and people sometimes become very emotional with parking. And I mean, if you can find parking in 2 minutes instead of 15 minutes, it's an incredible positive experience for the users. And we recently made it one of the top 50 navigation apps globally in the App Store. And this is basically based on the ratings from the users that are very happy using the service, the app.
Okay, is there any other question? Or are you waiting to meet them in person and go to lunch? Okay, so that's...
Hi. Just a question regarding the van pooling or carpooling systems. I mean, how are you tackling the security aspect from the user side, and also what is it keeping you from reaching scale? Like 5 million users is, I guess, is the innovators, right? But what is keeping you from actually going and that tipping point to reach scale?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I think the first thing we did is we gave access to an asset that was not available. You know, you couldn't get into those cars, you know. And that was good enough for, you know, a couple million people that used the service, you know, 5-6 years back, usually young people. But the other thing that kept, you know, the scale away from happening was trust. You didn't want to step into a car with someone you didn't know. You didn't want to spend 5 to 6 hours in a car with someone you knew nothing about, you know, which is a stranger. Now, when you build the business, it would be something to do is to say, okay, let's connect with friends. You know, the first thing you think about when when I came here to Barcelona is any one of my friends going. Well, the chances that on a Monday evening someone will go from Munich, where I live, to Barcelona is very slim, down to 0. And I have 550 friends on Facebook, but it's not going to happen. At the same time, I wouldn't want to spend that time in a car with a total stranger. So where the magic lies is in between, and we call them frangers. So it's not a friend, it's not a stranger, it's a franger. And frangers, platforms like Amazon and eBay have done wonders, you know, in people's mind to understand, can I buy something from someone that I've never met? You know, can I get a good that is as described? Of course, I've never seen it. Yes, that's good. Now, the next thing is to say, okay, but I'm going to meet that person. You know, when we look at business like Airbnb and us, you know, you have a physical interaction with that person. So there's another level of trust that you need to address. So how are we doing this? We allow people to send in passport data, driver license, and so on. That's a good first level of qualification. They describe themselves, who they are, photo, story. But the most important of all is how other passengers or drivers have rated, okay, what kind of feedback they have given. You know, that's what people look at first. So we actually allow a driver to rate a passenger and a passenger to rate a driver. And with that and the payment system that we have introduced, there's so much transparency that nothing happens. The worst thing that we heard of is someone left his smartphone in the car, and we helped him to identify the driver. And we've moved over 50 million people so far, knocking on wood. But that's how you do it. You give transparency. You know, you have so many data points, actually not strangers going together, it's frangers going together.
Okay, so maybe one last question there.
Hi, I have a question for the 3 firms working in parking management. And I see that the 3 of you are pretty much doing something similar, you know, integrating parking from the sensors to the user information and policy with government. But my question is, there are many firms out there doing this already. So I wanted to hear from you, what is next? What should cities be looking after once they install the sensors and engage with firms with you? What can they expect in the future? How is this field changing?
Well, I can go first. Well, in Parking Inside, we're acting like in a like really local wise. I mean, we're present in Madrid and Barcelona, and we have a lot of work here. Actually, if you think of it, it's all about like convincing like 1,000 different parking managers or owners in every city. So then, I think, at least from our point of view, what's next is which player is going to really get to be managing the assets of the city or the private parking assets of the city. Because from our perspective, it's only going to be useful if all this information is common from one of the players, or if players get together and do it, which is something that we are doing with another company in Barcelona, actually. So that's all really I can see up to for the moment. It's really summing up the information.
Well, from our side, we are a global company, so we are not only in the US. We are now have presence in the 4 biggest economies in Europe. So obviously, what's next for us? The technology is new, the solution is new, so it's yet need to be deployed in many cities in order to reach the value. So we still need a couple of years to get to a point where it's really going to be useful for the masses. Competition is fine. I mean, you have competition in every industry. Any company that relies on a monopoly to be successful is poised to lose. So it's good that we have competition. From our side, we believe in a in an ecosystem of solutions. So we will, from the moment we deployed the sensors, we would like to have people and developers or companies making great use of the data from the sensors. So we don't pretend to be the only ones, we don't pretend to be the only ones doing apps. So we would like to open up the data and increase the value of the smart parking solutions. But still, we are very, very early. So in a particular case, we have been only in Europe less than 1.5 years. So we still need lots to do in the next 5 years. And then we can see what's next in terms of smart parking. But if you take smart parking as it is today, it's barely starting.
As mentioned in my presentation, I think the most important point for the future is the full integration. I mean, we saw the example of Movil, and I have to be very honest, I love Movil, and because it's a great application I'm frequently using in Berlin. So it has to be integrated. I mean, as I mentioned, you are at home and you recognize via the application of street parking that it's not makes sense to go downtown by car because everything is full. So you go something like Movil being connected to that application, telling you what's the alternative. I mean, how long does it take with a taxi? Where's the next taxi, bike, public transportation? Integrate restaurants, cinemas, and all these businesses around to get refund of your parking fee or preserve parking places, VIP parking, all this stuff. And there are other companies to be integrated like private parking spaces. There are some companies now telling private people that they can rent during the day their private parking place in front of their house or even their garage parking place. So this has to be integrated, and we really have to get rid of this 3% usage of cars alone. I mean, this is the biggest mess, I think, of CO2 in the world if you have a utilization of a car of 3%.
Hi, I'm Martí from IGS. If you ask me what's my vision about the future from the sensors perspective, we need some sort of technology, which is not going to be only one type of technology, but we need this to be cheap enough to cover the entire city and reduce the maintenance cost substantially. We cannot rely in solutions that the first offer is too expensive per inhabitant. So I believe it's not going to be based entirely on batteries. Probably it's going to be based in 10 years, 15 years perspective on small generators. So we cannot base that waste of energy, that consumption of energy only on batteries. We need some source of energy harvesting, which is being researched a lot right now, or at least we need to use wires to connect groups of 50 sensors and plug them, if possible, to the source, because otherwise we are having too high costs for covering an entire city. Ask how expensive it would be to deploy sensors that you have to replace every, I don't know. I don't want to look at the eyes of my customer and say, I don't know when they will fail. That's all.
Okay, so I think we have cool products and services to improve make more sustainable mobility, and we have a vision. So I'm very satisfied with this session. I think we can happily go to lunch now. Thanks a lot.